Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 2026 motorcycles that have a serious problem, and Consumer Reports just exposed them. Number 12, Triumph Trident 660. One of the biggest mistakes riders make is assuming a motorcycle that feels comfortable during a test ride will remain comfortable after 3 or 4 hours on the road. That's exactly where many Triumph Trident 660 owners say problems begin to appear. The most common complaint revolves around rider comfort. While the bike feels excellent during short trips and city riding, many owners report that the seat becomes uncomfortable surprisingly quickly. Longer rides can lead to soreness and fatigue, forcing riders to stop more often than they originally planned. Taller riders face an additional challenge. The compact dimensions that make the Trident feel nimble in traffic can also create a cramped riding position. After extended periods in the saddle, knee and hip discomfort become recurring complaints among some owners. Highway riding introduces another weakness. With very little wind protection, riders are exposed to constant wind pressure at higher speeds. That may not seem like a major issue during a short ride, but on longer trips it can become exhausting. What makes these complaints more noticeable is that many buyers expect the Trident 660 to be a versatile motorcycle capable of handling everything from commuting to weekend touring. The Triumph Trident 660 remains a fun motorcycle, but if long-distance riding is part of your plan, this is a problem you should pay close attention to before buying. Number 11, Indian Scout Bobber. Looking aggressive and being comfortable are two very different things, and that's the exact problem many Indian Scout Bobber owners eventually run into. The Scout Bobber is one of the most attractive cruisers on the market, but its stripped-down design comes with a trade-off that becomes impossible to ignore after spending enough time in the saddle. The biggest complaint centers around ride quality. Many owners report that the rear suspension feels unusually firm, especially on rough roads. Small bumps that other cruisers absorb without much drama can be transmitted directly to the rider. Over time, what feels sporty during a short test ride can become tiring during longer trips. The low riding position creates another issue. While it contributes to the bike's aggressive appearance, some riders find the ergonomics less forgiving than expected. Longer rides can place additional stress on the lower back and tailbone, particularly when combined with the stiff suspension setup. In the Scout Bobber's case, styling appears to have taken priority over long-distance comfort. That's not necessarily a deal-breaker, but it can surprise riders who plan to spend several hours on the road. The Indian Scout Bobber certainly looks the part, but if comfort matters as much as style, its harsh ride quality is a weakness that should not be overlooked. Number 10, Harley-Davidson Nightster. A motorcycle can have plenty of power and modern technology, but if riders are constantly searching for gas stations, frustration starts building quickly. That's one of the most common complaints surrounding the Harley-Davidson Nightster. The biggest issue is fuel range. While the Nightster was designed to be a lighter, more modern Harley, many owners feel the fuel tank is simply too small for the type of riding they expected to do. On longer trips, riders often find themselves stopping for fuel much sooner than anticipated. That may not sound like a major problem at first, but it becomes increasingly annoying during highway travel. The compact design creates another concern. Harley successfully reduced weight compared with many larger models, but some riders believe that came at the expense of the traditional long-distance capability people associate with the brand. Heat management is another complaint occasionally raised by owners. During slow-moving traffic or hot summer rides, some riders report noticeable engine heat reaching their legs, making urban riding less pleasant than expected. The Nightster certainly offers modern performance and a fresh take on the Harley formula, but its limited fuel range continues to be one of the most frequently discussed drawbacks among owners. If long-distance riding is your priority, the Nightster's biggest weakness isn't performance, it's how quickly you'll be hunting for the next gas station. Number 9, BMW R18. Sometimes a motorcycle can become a victim of its own ambition, and that's exactly what many riders believe happened with the BMW R18. The biggest complaint surrounding the R18 isn't reliability, performance, or build quality. It's weight. At well over 700 pounds, this motorcycle is simply massive, and many owners discover that reality the moment they pull it out of a parking space. Low-speed maneuvering is where the problem becomes most noticeable. U-turns, parking lots, stop-and-go traffic, and tight spaces can quickly become intimidating, especially for less experienced riders. The large boxer engine also contributes to the issue. While it gives the R18 a unique personality, its protruding cylinder heads add visual bulk and can make the motorcycle feel even larger than it already is. Many owners love the styling and heritage-inspired design, but some question whether the bike's sheer size limits its versatility. What feels impressive in a showroom can feel exhausting during everyday use. The frustrating part is that the R18 does many things exceptionally well. It has premium construction, strong road presence, and a distinctive character. Yet many riders find themselves constantly adapting to the motorcycle's weight rather than simply enjoying the ride. The BMW R18's biggest problem is simple. For many riders, it's more motorcycle than they actually need. Number 8. Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. The Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 looks like the perfect middleweight cruiser, but many owners discover one frustrating problem after the honeymoon phase wears off. It doesn't feel nearly as effortless as its relaxed styling suggests. The biggest complaint centers around weight. On paper, the numbers may not seem alarming, but in real-world riding, the motorcycle can feel surprisingly heavy. Parking lots, tight turns, sloped driveways, and low-speed maneuvers often require more effort than buyers expect. For newer riders, that extra weight can quickly become intimidating. Things don't improve much when the road gets twisty. The Super Meteor's low-slung cruiser design limits cornering clearance, causing foot pegs to scrape earlier than many riders anticipate. Owners expecting a motorcycle that can comfortably handle both highway cruising and spirited backroad riding are often disappointed when they reach those limits. The suspension is another area that receives criticism. While the motorcycle is comfortable enough on smooth pavement, rough roads can expose weaknesses in the rear suspension setup. Sharp bumps and broken surfaces sometimes travel directly to the rider, reducing the premium feel many buyers expect. The Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 certainly looks ready for endless miles, but its weight, limited cornering clearance, and suspension compromises leave some owners wishing the riding experience matched the motorcycle's impressive appearance. Number 7. Triumph Rocket 3. When a motorcycle makes over 160 horsepower and carries the largest production motorcycle engine in the world, compromises are almost guaranteed. That's exactly the issue many riders run into with the Triumph Rocket 3. The motorcycle's biggest problem is simple. It's almost too much motorcycle for the average rider. The massive 2400cc three-cylinder engine delivers staggering acceleration, but many owners admit they rarely come close to using its full potential. In everyday riding, the performance can feel excessive rather than useful. Weight is another concern. Despite Triumph's efforts to keep the bike manageable, the Rocket 3 remains a very large machine. Parking lots, low-speed turns, and crowded urban environments require considerably more attention than on most motorcycles. A small mistake can quickly become an expensive one. Ownership costs also tend to catch buyers off guard. Premium tires, premium parts, and premium service costs come with the territory. Some owners report that maintaining a Rocket 3 can be noticeably more expensive than maintaining more conventional motorcycles. The Triumph Rocket 3's biggest problem is that its incredible power and size often make it harder to live with than many riders initially expect. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Fat Bob. The Harley-Davidson Fat Bob certainly grabs attention, but once the excitement of owning it wears off, one complaint comes up repeatedly. The price is difficult to justify. Starting well above $20,000 in many configurations, the Fat Bob enters a price range where buyers expect very few compromises. Unfortunately, some owners feel the motorcycle doesn't always deliver enough advantages to separate itself from significantly cheaper alternatives. The issue isn't power. The Milwaukee 8 V-twin provides strong acceleration and plenty of torque. The issue is value. Many riders find themselves comparing the Fat Bob against competing cruisers that cost thousands less while offering similar real-world performance and comfort. Weight is another criticism. Although the Fat Bob is marketed as one of Harley's more aggressive cruisers, it still carries enough mass to feel cumbersome during low-speed riding. Parking lots and tight maneuvers require more effort than some buyers anticipate. Perhaps the biggest frustration is that expectations are incredibly high. When a motorcycle costs this much, riders expect near perfection. As a result, even relatively minor shortcomings become magnified. The Harley-Davidson Fat Bob is undeniably stylish and powerful, but many owners question whether its performance and features truly justify its premium price tag, making value one of the biggest concerns surrounding this motorcycle. Number 5. Indian Chief. The Indian Chief has all the ingredients of a great cruiser: strong styling, a powerful V-twin engine, and plenty of road presence. Yet one complaint consistently appears among owners who spend serious time riding it: limited cornering clearance. Cruisers are not designed to be sport bikes, but many Chief owners are surprised by how quickly hard parts begin touching the pavement. During spirited riding on winding roads, floorboards and foot controls can start scraping much sooner than expected. For some riders, that becomes frustrating because it limits how aggressively they can ride through corners. The problem isn't a lack of power. The Thunderstroke V-twin produces plenty of torque and makes highway cruising effortless. The issue is that the chassis often reaches its limits before the engine does, leaving some riders wanting more confidence when the road starts to curve. Weight also contributes to the situation. The Chief is a substantial motorcycle, and that mass becomes more noticeable when changing direction quickly or navigating tighter roads. While it feels stable on the highway, it can feel less eager when the road gets technical. The Indian Chief remains a beautiful cruiser with a loyal following, but its limited cornering clearance can become a genuine annoyance for riders who enjoy pushing beyond relaxed highway cruising. Number 4. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R has one of the most intimidating appearances in the cruiser world, but that aggressive styling comes with a drawback that many owners eventually experience. The motorcycle can be surprisingly demanding to live with. The biggest complaint revolves around its sheer size and weight. The M109R carries a massive 1700cc V-twin engine and a huge rear tire, creating a motorcycle that feels substantial in every situation. While that setup looks incredible parked outside a restaurant, it can become a challenge during low-speed riding and tight maneuvers. Many owners specifically point to the enormous rear tire as part of the problem. It gives the bike its muscular stance, but it can also make handling feel heavier and less natural than some competing cruisers. Then there's the cost of replacing that tire. Because of its unusual size, replacements are often more expensive than what riders pay for typical cruiser rubber. For owners who ride frequently, that becomes an ongoing expense. The motorcycle's weight only amplifies these concerns. Parking lots, U-turns, and stop-and-go traffic require confidence and attention. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R delivers impressive power and unforgettable styling, but its heavy handling and expensive tire replacements remain two of the most common complaints among owners, making it a motorcycle that demands more compromises than its appearance initially suggests. Number 3. Kawasaki Eliminator. The Kawasaki Eliminator arrived with plenty of hype as a lightweight, beginner-friendly cruiser, but many owners have discovered a weakness that becomes increasingly obvious the longer they own it: highway comfort. Around town, the Eliminator feels right at home. Its manageable size, low seat height, and approachable nature make it easy to ride in traffic and friendly for newer riders. The problem starts when riders attempt to use it as a long-distance cruiser. One of the biggest complaints is the motorcycle's light weight. While that sounds like a positive feature, it can become a drawback at highway speeds. Strong crosswinds, passing trucks, and rough pavement can make the bike feel less planted than larger cruisers, forcing riders to work harder than expected. The seat also receives criticism from some owners. Short rides are rarely an issue, but longer highway journeys can expose comfort limitations that become noticeable after several hours in the saddle. What's frustrating is that many buyers are attracted by the Eliminator's cruiser styling and assume it will handle touring duties with ease. In reality, it often feels far better suited to commuting and weekend rides than serious long-distance travel. The Kawasaki Eliminator is an excellent beginner-friendly motorcycle, but riders expecting effortless highway comfort may find themselves disappointed once the miles begin to add up. Number 2. Indian Challenger. The Indian Challenger has earned a reputation as one of the most capable touring motorcycles on the market, but even its biggest fans admit there is one drawback that's impossible to ignore: weight. The problem becomes apparent before the motorcycle even leaves the parking lot. At well over 800 pounds when fully fueled, the Challenger is a serious machine, and that mass can make everyday riding more challenging than many buyers expect. Low-speed situations are where the issue is most noticeable. Parking lots, gas stations, U-turns, and stop-and-go traffic require constant attention. A motorcycle this heavy leaves very little room for mistakes, and recovering from a bad lean angle can be difficult even for experienced riders. What's frustrating is that the Challenger does many things exceptionally well. The engine is powerful, the wind protection is excellent, and the touring capability is outstanding. Yet for some owners, those strengths are constantly competing with the reality of managing such a large machine. The Indian Challenger's biggest weakness isn't performance or comfort. It's the fact that its massive weight can make everyday riding far more demanding than many buyers anticipate. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S may be one of the most controversial motorcycles Harley has released in years, and the biggest reason comes down to one thing: practicality. On paper, the Sportster S looks impressive. It has a powerful Revolution Max engine, aggressive styling, and performance numbers that easily outperform many traditional Harleys. But once owners start putting serious miles on the bike, several complaints begin surfacing. The most common criticism involves fuel range. The relatively small fuel tank means riders often find themselves stopping for gas sooner than expected. Comfort is another frequently discussed issue. The forward controls and compact ergonomics create a riding position that works for some riders but feels awkward for others. Longer rides can become tiring, especially compared with motorcycles designed with touring comfort in mind. Then there's the identity problem. The Sportster S looks like a cruiser, accelerates like a performance bike, and costs as much as some larger touring motorcycles. As a result, some owners struggle to determine exactly what role the motorcycle is supposed to fill. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S is undeniably fast and visually striking, but its limited fuel range, questionable long-distance comfort, and everyday practicality concerns make it one of the most commonly criticized motorcycles in Harley's current lineup. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.